Do you want your children to listen to you, but just telling them the reasons why they should listen is not cutting it? And you're like, Marcela, I'm trying to break cycles here. How do I get out of these power struggles without reverting back to the chancla and the yelling and all the things that I don't want to revert back to? If that is you, this podcast episode is for you because I'm going to share with you how to use the tool of neuroception to prevent and stop most power struggles with your child. Yes, once you know this tool, you will be able to see your child's behavior through a different lens and therefore address behavior through a different lens. My name is Marcela Collier. Welcome to this episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. I am your host, and I'm so happy that you're here. I'm a mom of twins. I'm a certified parenting coach. I'm founder of HIC Parenting Education Agency, and we are on a mission of helping as many parents as we can stop reactivity, bring peace to their parenting, and become secure parents for their kids from the understanding of their children's needs. If this is something that you're interested of, I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast, or if you've been listening to us for a little while, leave us a positive review. That's a good sign that you've been enjoying it, and that will help us get to more parents. So let's talk about how to stop behaviors by understanding what behaviors really mean using the tool of neuroception. So just imagine a child. His name is Timmy. Let's put a name. It was a real story. So Timmy was having a really hard time at school. He was getting disruptive. He was picking on his skin, and he was pulling other people's hair, his classmates' hair. They were already rejecting him, not wanting to sit next to him because he was like that. And then the teacher, it was a very well intended teacher who thought about a strategy, a behavioral strategy that helped another student with a similar behavior. She thought, I had a student who every time he got overwhelmed in the classroom, I offered him a sensory break, and that really reset him and helped him go back to the classroom and finish the day well without behavioral challenges. I'm going to try this with Timmy. Well, she tried it with Timmy, and then it didn't work. Timmy felt called out every time the teacher told him, hey, you need to take a sensory break. And it made him even more nervous, more anxious, and the behavior got worse. He wasn't just picking on his skin, but he was pulling other people's hairs, and the behaviors were escalating. And then she was puzzled. She was like, how come this worked for other kids with sensory anxieties in the classroom and not for Timmy? It was because she was applying a behavioralist approach, which was really a one size fits all approach that didn't consider his perception of the environment without considering his neuroception. So, what is neuroception? Neuroception is how we perceive the environment based on our nervous system's cues for safety or lack of safety. And many times, those cues are perception cues, not reality cues, meaning that the environment could be safe, but the child's perception of safety is the opposite, based on their needs, based on their history, based on their developmental stage, based on their emotional maturity, and the things that they have experienced in life and how they perceive the world. So, one size fits all approaches, such as this one, or even punishment, which is even more detrimental because it hurts the child, such as the spanking, the timeout, the yelling, the taking things away, all those one size fits all approaches do not solve what's in the internal experience of the child. Neuroception is the child's cues of danger or safety depending on how they are processing the environment. I think I already told this story. Maybe I'm going to say it again in a summarized version. I was on a plane ride for 3 hours and I had a big autistic meltdown. I'm autistic, ADHD, and it was hard. The flight attendant told me in multiple times, we are safe, nothing is happening, the plane is safe, it's just a little bumpy, and we need to land to refuel and then go back to our destination. And this is part of the routine. Logically, that makes sense to me. But nervous system wise, there was fire alarms of cues of danger. So that logic did not help me because my neuroception, my perception of safety was the opposite. I was not feeling safe at that moment. Even if logically people were reassuring me, I was safe. So children's behaviors, all are of their behaviors are a response to their cues of safety or lack of safety. And safety is more than just being physically safe. There are four different kinds of safety. There is physical safety, which is easy to understand. You know, if you're being chased by an angry dog, then you can see now physical safety there. So physical safety, the second one, emotional safety, which is feeling safe to express my emotions, my needs. Number three kind of safety is psychological safety, feeling safe to release or share my experience, my opinions, my thoughts, my insights, show my authenticity. And the last one was relational safety, which is feeling the safety with the other, with the person that is next to me to calm down or to be me or to if it feels safe to be with you or not safe to be with you. So our children's behaviors, all of them, is a response to cues of safety or lack of safety in those four areas: physical, emotional, psychological, or relational. So when little Timmy has a really hard time fitting the puzzle, and then he knows he needs help, but he doesn't access help because in the past he's been yelled at for having needs, then there is no relational safety there, and he may express it through a behavior. Next time the teacher tells him that it's time to complete the puzzle or the next activity, he's going to refuse it and enter into a power struggle, not because he wants to be not receptive, but because of his neuroception. But this is the thing. Our reactivity comes when we don't see neuroception, when we don't have the skill or the capacity to see our children's neuroception because we're caught up on our own neuroception. We see our children fighting with each other, and our own neuroception is caught up on fight or flight. Fight or flight. Full of catastrophizing thoughts. If I don't stop this sibling conflict right away, they're gonna grow up to not like each other and to be like me and my sister and not have a good relationship and not have good jobs and not have friendships and become bullies, etc. All those catastrophizing thoughts triggers our neuroception of lack of safety, and then we approach our children's sibling squabble from lack of safety ourselves. And then we start interchanging lack of safety with them, and then they start learning that conflict is not safe. That conflict is not an opportunity to grow together and understand about each other's needs, but it's something to run away from. So the conflict increases, escalates to yelling, to physical conflict, all because the neuroception that the parent had that was transferred to the children, and then this creates a cycle. With our coaching clients in HIC parenting, we focus on that. We focus on helping parents stop reactivity and become secure parents first, so they can transfer that safety to their children. Because the first people that our children pick up cues of safety or lack of safety is from us. Children could be in an environment that might be a little sketchy, that might not be that safe. But if they feel the safety within ourselves and the comfort within ourselves, they relax. I remember one of my cousins, she said, one day I was flying from Colombia to the United States. At the time, she didn't have her citizenship. So every time she flew, she had to go to a little room full of people trying to get in the country. Everybody was stressed. Everybody was nervous, fearful. And I remember her telling me, it was just so beautiful to see my children just playing in that little room where everybody else was freaking out, because I was calm, because I was regulated, because I was safe within myself first. Number one, I knew I was going to be at the other side, but I was safe within myself, and that gave that safety to them. If you're like, Marcela, but how do I remain safe and calm and connected and regulated? Like if nobody taught that to me, it's okay. It's okay if you're not there. It's okay if you're not there. It's hard to be there when we did not grow up with a model of safety. That's why we are here in HIC Parenting, to help you and support you get there and become the secure parent that your children need. I have a resource that you can access right now. It's a free class where I share with you my Parenting with Understanding system of needs to help you break away from that reactivity so you can be the secure parent for your children. You can access it right now on my website, hicparenting.com. I'm going to leave it in the description below. If you're watching, I'm going to leave it in the description below. Or go to my website, our website, hicparenting.com, and you can access these resources, a free class where I explain to you the same system that I use to break away from reactivity and parent with peace, and the same system that we train all our coaching clients in to break away from reactivity and parent with peace. So behavioral interventions are not often effective because they're not tailored to the child's unique experience and needs. We cannot ask a child to calm down and use their words unless they know and they have the capability of doing so. And then there is a misconception of, but they're old enough to use their words because they are verbal. Or they're old enough to not tantrum like that because in our head, we've seen kids their age handling the same situation differently. And let me tell you, we are comparing. Even if you're comparing your child to another one of your children, you are comparing apples to oranges, apples to lemons. You're comparing two different things because everybody's neuroception is completely different. It's based on their particular needs, on their diagnosis, on their unique experiences, on their developmental stage, on their age, and on how, and as well is based on their unique character and personality. So let's go back to the sensory break. Take a sensory break might have worked for little Tommy, who did not care about what the other ones think about them, but it did not work about for Timmy. It didn't work for Sophie, who is very self-aware of what other people think about her and who is a little social butterfly. And if you're telling me to take a sensory break when the other kids are not, then they're going to see me as the strange one. So it would not work for her. We are able to see our children's needs when we get out of unrealistic expectations. By the way, there is a crazy statistic that 56%, and I got this from the book Beyond Behaviors, is this one I have in my hand. 56% of parents believe that children have the impulse control to resist the desire to do something forbidden before age of 3. But how do I get my 2-year-old to stop hitting? It's not that she won't, it's that she cannot. She cannot stop when she has the impulse to hit. She cannot stop when she has the impulse to hit. So it's not about how to get her to stop, it's about what can I do so she feels safe enough so this impulse to hit is not there, or is not there as often, as frequent, as intense. Something to think about. Think about the behavior that keeps you up at night. What is it? If you're watching, type it in the comments. What is the behavior that keeps you up at night? Well, I have good news for you, and they're good news. It is not that they won't stop, it's that they can't. It's not that you are a bad parent and that's why they're doing what they're doing. It's that they can't. They can't, based on all the things, based on their sensory needs, their developmental capacity, their memories, their feelings, their needs, their beliefs. What about your yelling? I wonder if it's a matter that it's not that you won't stop yelling, it's that you can't, based on all these things. Your needs, your skill, your emotional regulation skills, your feelings, your beliefs. It's hard to not yell when you are believing you are failing as a parent. That's a belief, that's not a reality. But those beliefs feel really very, very real. And it's just hard to stop yelling if you're operating from that belief. That's why big part of what we do in coaching with our clients is to shape those beliefs. Because as long as they're believing they're failing as parents, they're not good enough as parents, they're incapable as parents, they're not going to stop yelling. It isn't until our clients start believing they're capable, believing they're good parents, believing that they have what it takes, that they're good enough for their children, that they start showing up differently. So when you see your children behaving, instead of going from what's wrong with you, or you beating yourself up, what's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you or with your child. Change it to what has happened to me that took me to yell? What has happened to my child that took him to yell? How can I help myself? How can I help my child? What is my child experiencing at the moment with their body and mind that's making them behave that way? What is happening in my body and mind that is taking me to react the way I do? Dr. Stephen Porges, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. He is the author of the polyvagal theory, and he revolutionized what professionals think and believe behaviors are. Behaviors are just nervous system responses. They're adapters. What is an adapter, Marcela? Speak to me in English. Háblame en español, like my mom used to tell me. Adapters is our best attempt through our behaviors to regulate our nervous system. Is your child hitting their best attempt to regulate their nervous system? Yes. Is your yelling your best attempt to regulate your nervous system? Yes. That's why when you yell, you kind of feel a release. I'm not saying it's correct, the hitting, the yelling is correct. What I'm saying is that it is explained. It makes sense that under this level of stress, this child hits. That under the level of stress that you are at, you yell. So are you condemned to live in the flow and in the ups and downs of your reactivity or your child is? No. Because we can learn to change our neuroception, to change the cues our nervous system receives from what it is safe or not safe, what is perceived as safe or not safe. And that's another thing that we do with our clients. So when they see their children fighting, they don't see two adults fighting because that's what their inner child is really projecting. They see two little kids struggling to communicate their needs. Then their neuroception is going to be different. And their reaction, the response to their children is going to come out differently. It's not going to be from that lack of safety, but from perceived safety. Next time that you react in a way you didn't want to react to your children, I encourage you to give yourself a lot of compassion and empathy and think, what is the perceived danger my body, my nervous system felt in order for me to respond this way? I see. Because my boy hitting my girl reminded me of my dad doing it to me. Now I have an understanding. But what is this behavior really saying about my children? That my boy is going to grow up to be a rude man? Or is it that he's just 5 and he doesn't know how to relate differently to sister when he's upset? From that perception, we respond a lot different to our children. Neuroception is a person's body and brain detection of threat, of safety. Use that as a tool. Instead of focusing on what to do to your children when they, quote unquote, misbehave, focus on prioritizing how you are with them and how they are with you, prioritizing the relationship, because safety precedes. Safety is the foundation of good behavior. Put this in your nervous system and in your head. Like, if you don't remember anything about this class, remember this. Regulate, then relate, then redirect. We are very fast to just redirect the behavior. Regulate first, then relate, and finally, redirect. And if you are raising a child with trauma, or if you are not the biological parent, if your children don't have emotional safety with you for X or Y reason, these steps of regulate, relate, and redirect may need to be broken down in seasons. With my foster kid, I had to do a lot of regulation and relating relationship before I started redirecting him. He would not hear my redirection at all for months and months and months until he learned I was safe and I could help him regulate. So regulate, then relate, and then redirect. With my twins, because they have a relationship with me since birth and it's been a safe, secure relationship, I can do that pretty quickly. I can go from regulating, relating to redirecting in the same interaction. With my oldest son, with my foster son, I couldn't redirect him for a long time. And it's okay because I was building the foundation, which is regulation and relationship. So, how to get out of power struggles using neuroception? A power struggle is just a miscommunication, misunderstanding. We are very focused on redirection and we miss the first two. We miss what's underneath the behavior. So, my encouragement for you for the rest of this week, when you see your children behaving, just see needs, see feelings, see beliefs, see thoughts. Try to understand them. And the same way, when you react in ways that you don't want to, instead of beating yourself up and telling that you're a bad parent, see your needs, see your beliefs, see your feelings, see your neuroception. If this message got to you, if it helped you a little bit, this is the sign. This is the sign for you to share with another parent. Hopefully, especially a parent of highly sensitive children, or if they're highly sensitive children, parents as well. Share with a friend. Don't keep this to yourself. All of us need to hear this message that we can be secure parents for our children by becoming secure parents or by finding safety within ourselves first. I'll see you next time.